it's me, Dr. Joyce Kong. Today I'm talking about mouth rinses. I get asked so much about mouth rinses, if they're worth the money, if they're worth the extra step, and I get how confusing it can be because there are so many mouth rinses out there. It all comes down to what your oral conditions are. Are you cavity prone, you have chronic dry mouth, or are you just looking for a mouth rinse to help you freshen your breath and you've never had a cavity in your life? Figuring that out will help you narrow down what mouth rinse you're really looking for. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of transparency when it comes to marketing dental products. So let's say that you're walking down the aisle at Target and you want to pick a mouthwash. Do you guys remember my story where I'm walking down Costco aisles and I basically said all of these mouth rinses don't do anything for your oral health except to freshen your breath? Well, I knew that just by looking at the ingredients. Companies come out with new mouth rinses all the time, so where you really want to start is where the ingredients are. Just like food products, I would say the purer the better. So ingredients that you recognize and ingredients that are not like random. You just don't want to wash your mouth with a whole bunch of chemicals. That's not really the point. Also, I would say look out for alcohol content because that's something that's very easy that you could do. Alcohol actually dries out the mouth. So those are a few simple things that you can look at, but to take this a little further, I wanted to do a fun experiment with you guys. So a while back, I did a post about how acid is really the culprit when it comes to cavities. And I know sugar gets a bad rap, but it's really the pH levels of your mouth. So today I'm going to test the pH of some of the most popular mouth rinses on the market. Here I have Listerine. This one's Biotene, Act. You can get all three of these at any Target, CVS, and I'm also gonna test Elementa. So I'm gonna use these little pH papers that I already cut out and we're going to dip it in the mouth rinse and see where it lays on the scale. Basically, if you don't know a lot about pH, it's pretty simple. The closer you are to 1, the more yellow it is. And the closer you are to 8, the more blue it is. So we actually would want to aim more towards the blue side. 5.5 is the threshold at which demineralization starts to happen. And so anything below that is really too acidic. Okay, so let's start with Listerine. So I have Listerine in this cup and I'm just gonna dip this and you can see that is bright yellow. On the scale, it's not even on the scale, it's bright yellow. So it's definitely telling us that Listerine is super acidic. I've mentioned before that Listerine, that traditional big blue bottle, it really doesn't do very much except to freshen breath. And so in all fairness, I tested this one. This one's Listerine Total Care. This one actually has sodium fluoride in it, which is supposed to help remineralize against cavities, which is great. Fluoride actually needs to be in an acidic environment to penetrate the tooth, so it makes sense. However, the fact that this is just so acidic and it has alcohol in it, I don't know if it's worth it. It's a toss-up. Do the benefits outweigh the negatives? I honestly don't think so on this one. So the second mouthwash I'm trying is Biotene. So clear like this, and I'm just gonna dip it. So this is the shade. That's closer on the scale to around 5.5, but definitely still pretty darn yellow. For those of you who don't know what Biotene is, it's a popular mouth rinse that's marketed for those with dry mouth. It's alcohol-free, has xylitol in it, but it's still acidic. I would say that looking at the ingredients, initially you would think, oh great, this is a good mouthwash, but in my opinion, this mouthwash is still meh. The reason is because when you look at the ingredients are there, but not at the concentrations that we would want them to be in order to be effective. So overall, I think it helps patients deal with the problem, but it's not the best. It's not the best. There's better options out there. So next up is Act. Let's dip that in. You can see that it's still on the yellow side, but it's a little bit greener. Let's see. Compared to the scale, it's around close to this color. I want to talk a little bit about ACT because ACT is pretty much the sweetheart of over-the-counter anti-cavity rinses. It's alcohol-free and has a little bit of fluoride, which us dentists love, and it is still slightly acidic but closer to neutral than the other mouth rinses. However, since this mouth rinse isn't super acidic, it calls into question whether the fluoride is actually working. But I do think the benefits outweigh the negatives when it comes to ACT, especially because it's so easy to find and it's so affordable. I would say that it's up there in terms of over-the-counter drugstore rinses, but I definitely think there's better options out there. So my final is Elementa Nano Silver Rinse. So let's dip that and see what happens. Okay, this is blue. Look how dark that is. Just to compare Listerine to this one is definitely super blue. So you guys may have never heard about this rinse, but it's kind of like a dentist's secret. It's alcohol free. It doesn't even have fluoride in it. It has xylitol. I mean, just look at the ingredients. This is where this mouth rinse stands out. It literally has 5 ingredients. This is water. Is that an ingredient? Water, xylitol, natural flavors, calcium acetate, which by the way is what your teeth are made out of, and nano silver. So it's super pure and each ingredient has a purpose. And then look at the strip. It's literally blue, guys. So what this means, if it's blue or more basic, is that it's actually neutralizing any acid that you already have in your mouth, which helps to prevent decay. The other thing is this mouth rinse versus like the Biotene, this one has xylitol in it as well, but it has like 25% at least. And that's the amount that you actually need for it to be effective. So I know it can be complicated because you look at a bottle and you're like, oh, it has X, Y, Z. Oh, these sound like good ingredients, but to what percentage do they have? So since this is neutralizing the acid, this is actually gonna have a positive effect on your mouth. And this is what I personally use morning and night every day. The truth is, finding a really good, innovative, and scientifically driven oral hygiene product is still really hard to find in the mainstream. These products cost a little more, and it's understandable because the ingredients are better. It's just like paying a little bit more for organic food rather than just your generic food. And for these reasons, I wanted to make this video because just to tell someone to buy a mouth rinse because it's so good for them, they really truly cannot understand why one mouth rinse is better for them than the other without going through the science of it. And I find that when things are explained to people, like behind the scenes type of things, they can understand and make better purchasing decisions. So just to end, I'm really, really happy to tell you guys that this one is now sold at Sprouts. This is like literally within the last month. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this helped you in some way. If you have any questions, please drop it below and I'll be available to respond. I'm gonna tag the chemist behind Elementa and he might be in the comments as well.